Alright guys, take a look at this. This is my very first KTM, which is interesting. It's actually a 1290 Super Duke. Take a look at this thing. Alright, nice. Definitely has a forward stance to it. Alright, let's see. Alright. Pretty straightforward. You just hit the gray button right here, which turns it on. I'm good. Just hit the gray button, which starts the display, and then you just hit the little white there. All right, so let me, whoa, whoa. Yeah, you gotta put your feet way back. Well, it's not too bad though. Look where my legs come. It's actually pretty comfortable, and it's not that heavy of a bike. And take a look at these crazy mirrors. Those are like tombstone mirrors. That's pretty wild. And take a look at the display. That's an awesome display. It shows what gear you're in, the RPM, miles per hour. All right. I think we are ready to rock. Let's see what the clutch is on this thing. Wow. Wow, this is interesting. I thought first gear would be a little more geared differently. But look at this, I'm still in first gear going 16. It's almost geared like a Harley. All right, let me figure out where my blinkers are here. All right, here we go. Wow. Whoa. This thing has some pickup. Woo. Wow, that's pretty incredible. All right, let me see if I can. You know, the one thing I like about this. Whoa. That takes your breath away. Wow, that's incredible. That is totally unexpected. So it kind of has wow. It's really interesting because you can really go fast in first gear. You know, it has a really long range as far as you put it in first, and you start out and you're like almost killing the engine because the RPMs are so low when you first start out. You know, most sport bikes you kind of have to really wind them out. This bike is pretty nice, actually. I was actually quite surprised. It feels like it feels like I'm way above the bike. Like I'm sitting, not like I'm sitting in the bike, but I'm sitting way up on top of the bike, which is an interesting feeling. I mean, if you look at it, it almost looks like it's too small for me. But it's very comfortable, which is pretty amazing. It has a wild looking gas tank. Look at that, it looks like a bug or something. This is kind of interesting too. It has 2 different brake fluids up front, which I don't think I've ever seen before. 2 brake fluids. Wow, that thing just jumps. It's amazing. It almost has, I'd say it almost has the gearing like a Harley Davidson, where when you start letting off the clutch, it's almost like you're starting off in second because of the gearing. It's pretty wild. This thing has some power too. It's kind of a weird, kind of a poppy sound to it. This thing takes your breath away. Wow, this is probably one of the funnest bikes I've ever ridden. It's pretty amazing. And you can really torque it out too. Wow. Looks like the red line is 11,000. That's pretty crazy. So it's almost like the best of both worlds, where you kind of have like the low end gearing on the bottom, but you can really rev it. It looks like you can really rev it out. which is pretty wild. So as far as the suspension, it's pretty smooth. It feels really planted on the road. It feels like I could go really fast on this thing. Yeah, this is a really fun bike. As far as, well, we're not really going that fast, but as far as buzziness in the handlebars, it doesn't really feel buzzy from the engine like I've seen in some of them. Sometimes you get the buzziness from the high RPM. I'd say you definitely can feel the road through the handlebars. It's not like a really plush kind of a feel to it. It feels like, it's weird because it feels like like I'm way far up on the bike, like way forward. I can actually see the headlight down there, which is kind of a weird experience. It's like I'm up over the front of the bike. So I'm normally used to cruisers where I'm laid way back and I don't have this forward stance. But I do notice on this forward stance right here, I think I could pick up the front end on this thing. It's crazy. It's crazy fun. Wow. That's fine. And it feels pretty light too. I would think if you had really strong winds, they could really push you around. But it really plows through the wind really good. No windscreen, no wind deflector at all. Of course, on my bike, I've actually taken off the windscreen and everything, so I'm used to the full wind. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? My hands are definitely fatigued a little bit, and I think it's because we're not going that fast. I think if you went faster, like highway speeds, it would kind of pull you up off the handlebars to where you don't have the pressure. So if you have it in like a higher gear and you give it gas, it kind of has a like popping sound. It's like a Harley wannabe, which is pretty funny. And then it's funny, about I'd say about 3,000 RPM, it kind of changes from the Harley low end torque to almost like a sport bike kind of a feel to it. It's really different than anything I've ever experienced on any bike. It's almost like a cruiser and a sport bike in one. Of course, the stance is definitely sport bike. You're really leaned over. I'd say if you're cruising this thing like around the city, like if you're always in the city, yeah. Whoa, those front brakes are super touchy. I barely touched the front brake. I thought I was gonna flip this thing over. Wow, this is a really fun bike. I can't believe it. It's kind of weird because your feet are like kind of way back by your butt, but it doesn't feel bad. It feels like, you know, I'm 6'4", so this is a really good stance and a really good setup for a tall guy, which is kind of interesting. And look at how my knees are kind of bent. Let's see if I can get this clutch. So the clutch is kind of interesting too. The clutch is, you have to let it out quite a bit. Almost like some of the Indians, almost all the Indians, you have to let the clutch out really far. But the problem that I don't like with a lot of the Indian motorcycles is that you'll actually you let the clutch way out, and then the friction zone is just like a fraction of an inch. Let's see. I gotta find my blinker, turn, shift. Alright. Keep up with the pack here. Yeah, but on this one, with the clutch, it's kind of interesting because you have to let it way out, kind of like an Indian, but then at the end, when you start hitting the friction zone, the clutch is almost like a Harley Davidson, where you have more of a longer friction zone, which I really like. So it's kind of almost the best of both worlds, which is, it's a really nice clutch on this. Personally, I prefer the friction zone on the Harley Davidsons because you can let them out slowly and you're not like jerking. You never really stall the engine, especially with a new rider. Wow, this thing just takes off. It's incredible. It's kind of a weird, kind of a poppy sound to it though, which is really unusual. I'd say as far as the seat's pretty firm. The seat is, I would say it's not a long, like multi-hour cruising seat. I would say after 2 hours, you're probably ready to get off this thing. It's got more of a, almost like a dirt bike seat to it, kind of a feel. I can definitely feel the pressure on my hands from the forward lean, which it's different. I don't really like it, but I'd say if you're going 100 miles an hour, it might be a good thing because the wind actually pushes you up off. But for slow speeds, like in the city, probably not the best. Let's see here. You guys are going pretty fast. Let's get some speed going. It'd be interesting to take this thing up to like 100. I'm not even giving it all the gas. I'm afraid I'll lift the front end up. And this is in road mode. They said we can't change the modes. Do not change the modes. They said no wheelies, no burnouts. But even in the road mode, this thing's super fast. Pretty nice. I do notice the front suspension is a little bit stiff, I'd say. Pretty stiff. Oh, looks like we might go on the highway. Wow. So I'd say it's maybe not as stiff as like a Harley Davidson Lowrider S, but maybe a step up from there. So as far as the going in the corners, it's a little bit squirrely. I'd say a little bit squirrely around the corners. Not as planted as some. It takes a little bit to get used to going around the corners, I'd say. I'd say it's planted, but it's really responsive around the corner where you can, it seems like you can really maneuver it around. Like if there was something in the road, you could just, you know, spin your tires right around that little, whatever's in the road. Versus on some of them, it's like a slower response time. But it does seem pretty planted. Alright, so now that we've been driving for a little bit, the thing that is kind of bothering me is my hands. I probably could sit up a little bit straighter. Yeah. So if I don't lean so much into my hands, they don't hurt as much. Yeah. So you can actually correct it by your posture, I'd say. If you're gonna sit up a little bit more. But if you lean forward, kind of into it. This thing is, I mean, the gearing and the acceleration, it almost seems like you have a lot of power at the bottom and power at the top, but it's like a different kind of engine noise. Like switches from cruiser to street bike. So as far as the suspension in the back, I would say the rear suspension seems really good. There's not a lot of vibration like on my feet or on my rear end. Just a little bit in the front end. But it's not bad. You could probably go pretty fast, I'd say. You could probably go highway speeds and not have a problem with the vibration at the front end. I think you'd be good. I have no idea where we're at. I've never been over here. Alright, so we're going around this corner. Let's see how it feels. Not bad. You can kind of get used to the turning. It's just really sensitive as far as you don't really want to move your hands at all going around the corner, but it feels really planted if you really have a kind of like a fine-tuned control of your turning around the corners. So not too bad. These sport bikes, though, they definitely put a lot of pressure on your hands. It's kind of the big thing. Slow speed stability, like going 1 or 2 miles per hour, not too bad. But yeah, my hands are starting to get numb just from leaning so much over. I'm used to like leaning way back. Oh, it looks like we have our high beams on. There's a lot of buttons over here. I can't quite figure out where the high beams are. But not that it matters in the middle of the daytime. But yeah, this is a first experience on the KTM. So you gotta let the clutch way out, and then it starts grabbing, and then it's kind of like, oh, we might lose part of the pack there. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting clutch on this. This thing is very sensitive. I don't know what this girl's gonna do here. Alright, we're gonna wait for the group. Looks like we're gonna hit the highway. Alright. Alright. Oh, I should show you this clutch once we stop. Alright. Let's see. Alright, so the clutch, check it out. You can move it all the way to there. So quite a bit before it grabs. This is interesting. And it literally feels like you're starting in second gear, which is weird. Kind of like a Harley. Alright, so it's not the highway. It's next to the highway. Alright. Yeah, so honestly, I think the posture on this bike is for going fast. And the wind really pulls it up off you. So, going 40 miles an hour, it's probably not the best speed for this bike. I'd say if you really got it up to like 90, 80, assuming you're within the speed limits of your country, it'd probably be, it's almost like like the sport bikes, they put a lot of pressure on your hands until you really start going. It almost seems like you could swap out the exhaust for like a Harley Davidson sound afterwards, which is pretty funny. I really like this bike. One thing I really like about it too is you can really grab the gas tank with your legs, which really gives you a lot more stability, which you can't really do on a cruiser. One hand wave, not too bad. I can do a one hand wave. I'd say maybe my Harley Davidson's a little bit more stable. I actually ride a Dyna. It seems like it's a little bit more stable with the one hand wave. But this one, my hands are kind of bugging me a little from leaning over. It almost seems like I tend to want to sit up more straight. That acceleration at any speed is incredible, where you really don't have to shift gears, which is pretty amazing, actually. See if I can find the blinkers. I do like the auto offs. I think every Harley Davidson has an auto off blinker. Alright, so we're back to where we started. Alright, so would I buy this bike? Yes. I would buy this bike. This is fun. If someone gave it to me for free, I would definitely keep it. It's a fun little bike. And it's a 1290, so yeah. Got a lot of power. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So let's see. Slow speed. Slow turning. Oh, let's see. Not bad, not bad. Full speed stability is pretty nice. Pretty nice. So like right there. Like right at the end. All right, let's see. Off. I believe that is off. Kill switch. Yes. That was, I'd say that was an exhilarating experience. If I can figure out how to put the kickstand down. Oh, the kickstand has a little bar right there. And as far as I understand, this is a keyless bike, so there's no key, which is interesting. I don't know if they have like a key fob anywhere. All right, so there you have it. That is the 1290 Super Duke. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.